Welcome back, Ravens flock, to another episode of Ravens Across the Pond. You'll see joining me tonight is Nathan and Richard. How are we, gents?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, all good. Back from my one pod hiatus after I spent 4 days boozing it up in Budapest.
Yeah, elevated off the podcast suspension list for poor fantasy performance because you look like you're getting a win this weekend.
There you go.
DT and Ollie can't be with us tonight. DT is doing his best David Brent at a work conference. Ollie has got the Teletubbies back together. They're in the studio recording the next Christmas album for CBBS. You will notice that we have a very, very special guest in the studio. I did tell everyone he was a QB1 and he was in the NFL. I think the nearest he's been to the NFL is Rotherham. He is a QB1 though when it comes. He is a QB1 though when it comes to rolling spliffs. He's as daft as Tigger's broom. Welcome to the show, Danzai.
Easy now. How we going?
So, do you like the fact that I pronounced your name properly there?
It's the first time for everything. You'll start spelling it correctly soon. With your crayons.
Before we get going with the podcast that throws more slide digs than P. Diddy and Ray Rice in a hotel room elevator, let's roll the tape.
Hit it.
Good to have the intro back. Won the suspension war against Spotify, a war that took place in emails and not in a WhatsApp chat. So we will take a look ahead at the take a look at the Ravens' performance against the Browns, a game that the Ravens won 23-16. Believe it or not, there was a period of time in that game where I didn't think that was going to happen. Couple of talking points. Mark Andrews breaking more records, and he was the absolute star yesterday. Ravens didn't have an answer for Myles Jarrett. Again, DT's not here, doing his best David Brent. He did say that we will shut Myles Garrett down. So we'll have a look at that one. Red zone woes continue. And I think we will all agree that is definitely going to cost this team at some point in the season. Special teams, we're not so special. It depends how you look at it. And another win on the road, and the AFC North is now a 2-horse race. Interesting to see that Aaron Rodgers has gone down with a broken wrist. So what that means for the Steelers, we yet to find out. Just dive straight in. Why the fuck is that not on silent? Yeah, 23-16, gents. Just how bad was that? I mean, Lamar Jackson, it's kind of ironic that we were all giving him his flowers the other day, saying that, he's going to be in the MVP race. 2 interceptions, one of them returned for a pick six. You could say that, Mitchell fumbled that ball. But it was launched at him with more heat than a hypersonic missile. So
you were tipped as well, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, both of them were a little bit unlucky. I mean, I think Lamar forgot who he was throwing it to. I think maybe he thought he was throwing it to Henry because it looked like he was trying to pass off to a bloke who was 6'2" rather than Keaton Mitchell's height. So you've got to get that ball in a better catching spot for him. But yeah, Keaton Mitchell probably should have done better with it. The second one, I think it hit a back of a player's helmet and then just went straight up in the air, and with those ones just a bit unlucky, but it was sloppy. It was a very, very sloppy day. But then I didn't feel like the game was ever in jeopardy. I didn't trust Dylan Gabriel to move the ball. When Shadeur came in because Gabriel got concussed, I definitely didn't trust him to do the ball. This was a game that he definitely lost for the Browns. There are a few chunk plays that really helped out the Ravens in this game. Derrick Henry hit a lovely 57-yard run setting up a field goal. Zay Flowers had a nice 45-yard, bit of a catch and run special. And then the play that I found out doing a little bit of research, we call the Hurricane, the fake tush push. Mark Andrews running it in for a 34-yard touchdown on 4th and inches. The play calling was pretty bad all game, but I think Todd Monken almost made it up in one swoop. So
when you say made it up, do you mean made it up as he was going along? Or
he could have. He could have absolutely. But yeah, it was a very weird day all around. I think no one had the best day at the office, maybe apart from our secondary. I mean, Awuzie, an amazing breakup of a pass in the end zone when the ball was flying towards a Browns receiver's hand. They were about to score a touchdown. I don't know how he managed to get that out, but that was a great play from him. Carl Hamilton, once again, all over the place, doing absolutely amazing Carl Hamilton stuff. So not too much bad to say about the defense, but everyone else, there are some questions to be answered going forwards because once again, offensive line woes continue. Special teams, which have been doing quite well. I don't know what Wester was doing with that first attempt at catching a punt. Once it gets away from your body, you just leave it. But it was an odd day. It was an odd day at the office.
Isn't it always the case though against the Browns? We seem to always the Browns play us oddly closely in games that they have no right to, and it always feels like a bit of a struggle. But this year we've managed to go 2-0 against them. Still 2-0 in the division. In other years, we might have dropped a game like that, and obviously we're aware. We really are fighting to win the AFC North and get into the playoffs. There's probably only one space for an AFC North team. Sometimes you have to win ugly. That was an ugly win. It wasn't an amazing watch, but you chalk up the win and you move on, didn't you?
Yeah. I think it's nice to see defense actually win as a game for a change. So yeah, we can take that. Other than
defense have been sending in the right way, haven't they? But
I've got a little
Nate Wiggins
stat
had
for
another
you.
good pick in this game. Oh, go on. I'll have a stat.
Myles Garrett, his average get off yesterday, 0.6 seconds, beating his leading average of 0.73 seconds. So, as you can imagine, with our offensive line and his increasing speed and get off yesterday, Lamar found that a few times.
I mean, if you throw a photo of Paige Spinanak on the screen, I'll get off quicker than that. Like.
Well, I was going to say, it's a good job he's got money because the lady in his life must be disappointed in the bedroom department.
He's spending all his money at Sunday afternoons against us.
I mean, he was just bullying the offensive line, wasn't he? Like, he looked a different caliber of player. He looked like he was in a high school game, when you see the highlights of these guys back in high school.
He was picking his poison. He was lining up anywhere he chose and winning every battle.
Absolutely no answer for him, was there?
No. Nothing. Nothing.
I mean, Dan's, he is having some would say, well, he is, according to the stats, isn't he? Dan's having the season of his life so far in the NFL.
Yeah. So I think he got his 15th sack yesterday, and his previous best is 16, and there's still 6 games left. So
yeah,
he's balling.
What are we on?
He's balling.
11 or something as a unit.
I think did we get 3 or 4 yesterday, which is
we got 3 in the end.
By far as best game sack wise.
I mean, yeah, Shadur Sanders was holding onto the ball for dear life and running about 14 yards backwards behind the lines. So he was handing out free sacks to our defense for the days, but
Well, I think about winners and losers from the game. Cleveland Brown fans who spent most of the game, booing Dylan Gabriel because they thought Shadur Sanders was better, and then they realised he really isn't better.
No, I mean, and there was obviously a lot of pre-draft hype around Shadur Sanders, and then obviously the whole story about him sliding from what they thought was going to be a top 3-5 pick to going in the 5th round. He did show every single bit of reasoning why teams didn't want to take him until the 5th round. And when I say teams, the Browns, they drafted Dylan Gabriel ahead of him. Who else did they sign as backup? Was it Mason Rudolph?
And they had Snoop Huntley on the roster at the time.
They had Flacco until they traded him off. Yeah,
they had 5 quarterbacks in the off season,
and they've still got one on massage table.
He did. I mean, but he came into a game like that. There wasn't much he could really do. I mean, he got them down to the end zone and then he threw that interception, didn't he? But again, every reason why he's a 5th round, and that may seem harsh to a lot of people. He coming in late to a game like that, but I didn't see much from him at all.
In fairness to him, though,
but yeah,
I don't think there's many quarterbacks taking that team, especially on offense. They're just shambolic. I think if that had been any other team playing against us yesterday with half a decent offense, we probably lost that game.
Yeah, the Browns are the Browns. They always will be. As long as I've got a hole in my arse that points towards the ground, they will be the Browns. It is what it is. Getting back onto the Ravens, and I know we discussed this with Phil the other night about the O-line, and obviously I mentioned. Yeah, I hate to mention it again, but when you just look at how bad that O-line is, why didn't they give up a 5th for Zeta?
They may have tried. They may have tried to. We spoke at the time, didn't we, that if you're the Titans, then you need to sort of see what you've got in Cam Ward, and trading away his best defensive lineman maybe might not be the most sensible decision for a 5th round pick when you're potentially on course for the 101 anyway in a second consecutive year.
It just seems to me that the front office of the Ravens organisation have kind of looked at that and gone, no matter what happens between now and the end of the season with the state of the North, we are likely going to be a playoff team anyway. And I just kind of think that have they rested on their laurels a little bit and thought the O-line will sort itself out, something will change, there'll be a tweak somewhere or something will click, which of course it can do. But this far into a season and nothing has yet to click. That offensive line is as much use as a condom with holes stabbed in it. It offers you no protection whatsoever. And I'm thinking, if you want to be not just a playoff team this year, but a contender, I mean, there's other issues. Why I looked at yesterday's game, which to me kind of signed off the death certificate on this season being a AFC Championship contender and even a Super Bowl contender. We'll get onto the red zone woes in a bit, but they have not addressed the biggest issue in that, in that side. And you look at the other side of the ball, they address the issue on defense. They made a change, and you see how good the defense has been now. And I'm just thinking, you've got a 2-time MVP quarterback, and he is not getting protection. He was absolutely battered yesterday, absolutely battered by Myles Garrett. And I'm thinking, Lamar must be. What is Lamar thinking coming off that? Pitch yesterday.
I think you're potentially being a little bit unfair here. I think when you look at the economics of that line, obviously you can't pay everybody. So you've got Ronnie Stanley on a pretty big contract. One of the highest paid linemen in the league, and we know that Ronnie Stanley isn't what he used to be, but we weren't going to get a better left tackle. I think potentially you're looking at Linderbaum becoming the highest paid center in the league, whether that's with us or with somebody else. I think they invested a high draft pick in Roger Rosengarten, who had a pretty good rookie year, potentially has taken a step back. You can't pay every position. I think Falele is on a cheap contract. We joke about it, but I suppose it was an alternative selection, but he kind of was. He did get that Pro Bowl. Was that justified? Probably not. But you can argue that they would expect Farlele to take another step forward, which he just really hasn't done. If anything, he's regressed.
Took 3 back.
Voorhees, I think they felt they got a steal in the draft. Yeah, but you need somebody on that line that is going to be super cheap, and it happens to be Voorhees. We've seen it being, other people in the past. So at left guard, that's where they like to go cheap and try and get away with it. I think they obviously invested another premium pick in Emery Jones this offseason. And unfortunately, although people understood he was hurt when they drafted him, that injury has taken much longer to heal than people anticipated. So I don't think they've abandoned that line to rot. I think they have invested. It's just the individual components are not playing as well as perhaps they could have been expected to.
No, I mean, I'm not saying they've abandoned it altogether. What I'm saying is they've kind of, this season, gone, we're happy with just being a playoff team, because they haven't addressed the issue there. And okay, maybe they did try and get Zeke there, but it cost you the fifth. They've got, what have they got Nathan next year? 3, 4, 5th round picks? Like,
Yeah, the only issue with the 5th round picks, that they're like projected, so I don't think they were technically, only one of them was like tradable, because they're going to be comp picks. So, but yeah, you could have done something with a 4th, got a 5th back. You could have found a way to get it done.
I think after last year's offensive domination, I think EDC's kind of sat on his laurels a bit and thought, we were all right last year, we can go again. But they've had an off season to look at our tape, look at what we do, nail it down. And then this year, especially Derrick Henry, is not going as nowhere near as much as he was last year. They're kind of filling them all, stopping them runs, and then we've got no answers for it. Just seems a little bit stagnated.
Just one last thing on Daniel Falele's Pro Bowl selection. That's the equivalent of Vladimir Putin winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, I've actually got a radical solution to our offensive line issues. It's only going to work in the short term.
Is it shoot one to encourage the others?
I've been watching some other games this year where teams are lining up in the tush push formation, and then obviously, like Mark Andrews, they then work out a play out of it. Now, what I'm saying is radical solution. Every play we start from the tush push formation, and you can turn it into a jet sweep. You can turn it into a pass play, dunk and dive offense. Just for the next few weeks, see against the Jets, see how it works out. You know, we've got some complete rockets in our team. You put Keaton Mitchell on one side, Zay on the other, set one on a jet sweep while everyone's lining up in tush push formation, and you could be golden. You could get away with a few trick plays like that every now and again. I'm not saying whenever, for the entire base of your offense, but start incorporating it more. If the line plays the option, don't give the defenders on the other team a chance to ruin your line. We need to just up the ante a bit, try something a bit radical. Well, I guess what I'm really trying to say is just get the ball out a bit quicker, but we can't seem to be doing that either, because every screen pass we play, for some reason, Lamar keeps overthrowing people.
I went through about 150 progressions yesterday and still ended up checking down to Henry. And the pass that were behind him.
Oh, no.
Nice. I'm gonna. Can we move off from the O line, because the O line's giving me a headache, and I think it'd give a fucking Ashford a headache. The one shining light for me, I know. Richard mentioned a few others from yesterday. Mark Andrews. Obviously, before that, the game-winning score, in the first quarter, if you remember that, he just had that kind of unremarkable 11-yard catch, and with that, he became the most prolific pass catcher in Ravens history. Obviously, he broke Derek Mason's all-time franchise record for receiving yards. He then went on to finish with 3 catches for 32 yards, which is 5,806 career receiving yards, every single one of them for the Ravens. He only needs 4 more catches to break Mason's all-time record for receptions. I know we have mentioned Mark Andrews a couple of times this year on the pod, but I really liked the way we used Mark Andrews yesterday, kind of going back to how we used to use him and how Lamar and Mark Andrews are used to being used together.
Yeah,
we'll go on to play, but just
Lamar needed a safety blanket yesterday, and Mark Andrews were that ultimately.
yeah,
I think it does answer a question, perhaps slightly small sample size. Is Mark Andrews not producing the catches and yardage totals because he's no longer able to? Or is he not producing those because the Ravens have slightly changed his role in the offense? And, you know, it's interesting on a week with Bateman injured, potentially a bit short-handed, you know, in terms of pass catching options. All of a sudden, Mark Andrews has his best game of the season. So, clearly he's still got it.
They seemed to play Zay a bit deeper yesterday as well. He didn't get ball in hand as nowhere near as much as he normally does, and that's probably because Bateman weren't there. So then there's a bit more middle of the field.
The target spread is just getting bizarre. Like, I think one of the first or second throws of the day from Lamar went to like Rasheen Ali, and I was like, I've not even seen him on the field like all season. So it's crazy. Like Todd Monken's just like throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks kind of early doors. Was it Keaton Mitchell wasn't too involved again today? The list of pass catches is ends at like
say the phrase properly. Throw enough shit and some of it'll stick.
There you go.
Zay only had 3 catches all day, but he got 76 yards, wasn't it? Averaging 20 plus a catch.
I'll give 3 people their dues when we're talking about how bad blocking has been, but there was some excellent blocking and pushing yesterday. For the Hurricane play where Andrew scored his touchdown, watch back and watch what Pat Ricard and Charlie Kolar do to the bloody Cleveland defense. It is just a thing of beauty. There's just men on their asses everywhere. And for Derrick Henry's short yardage, for Derrick Henry's short yardage touchdown as well, Zay Flowers. Who would have thought Zay Flowers can push a man like Derrick Henry into the end zone?
4'11", he got 7 blokes around him, and he pushed him.
It was a game where small moments like that are just a massive to the kind of end way of how the game finished off. Everyone, while it might not have been the most competent display, it was a fight, and they ended up winning the fight. In the locker room after the game, John Harbaugh, rather ironically, called it the greatest win in the history of football ever. Now, that was sometimes with John Harbaugh, you don't know whether that you take that with a pinch of salt or not, or whether he genuinely believed it. But I think if you had lost that game, we would be in deep, deep shite. So it was a game you had to win, and we can kind of maybe put it to one side and think
at least
about how
it were
a
horrible, ugly game that we come out on the right side of.
Yeah, and that's AFC North football.
Yeah.
If you don't like that game, you don't like AFC North football.
I think I said it in group that Cleveland's notorious for a trap game for us. The teams that come to bank, I can remember, were it Vegas, Colts of recent years, just expect to blow them out of water, and then we lose them games. So
was it the Colts last year with Gardner and Minshew, or was that the year before?
No, it could have been last.
It was Minshew last year under the Raiders, or whatever. Yeah, it was the Raiders.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, the Raiders. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, we talk about how kind of. I just thought it was poor across. We mentioned some of the good things. We know defense wins championships. However, when the Ravens are currently ranked 27th out of the 32 NFL teams in terms of converting red zone chances into touchdowns, I don't care whether you've got the number one defense in football, which we haven't. You are not going to win championships. Tyler Loop field goals in the game were 24 and 25 yard field goals. That's just not going to cut it. Ravens just stalled inside the Browns 10-yard line. It isn't a new phenomenon. Obviously, you look at in the second quarter, they had first and goal at the Browns 4-yard line. Derrick Henry was stuffed after a yard on first down. Second down, incompletion, and then Myles Garrett went and did what he did. fucking Tyler Loop comes on again for another short field goal. This is now every week, every month, there is more and more questions being asked about Todd Monken as an offensive coordinator with this organization. People may think that is harsh. I don't think it is. You look at the talent on the offense. There is a unique ability a unique inability to finish drives in the end zone when we get close. Granted, there has been questionable play calls, but have they just lost at the point of attack too often? You know, Monken, Lamar Jackson, and others have said it comes down to executing. But time and time again, you know, the Ravens can't execute. If only Todd Monken was in the Green Mile, John Coffey would still be walking with us.
I think we've been lacking a little bit of creativity myself. And then we get that hurricane play and it goes for yards. It seems like we get into that situation and we just try to thump it in. The stupid tush push that we keep doing. I'd sooner run Derrick Henry for 4 plays than that. But it just seems like we're out of ideas. And as soon as we get stuffed, we just climb up and that's it. But then we saw the little bit of creativity and we weren't thinking a tush push, we're going to go for that yards. But just seems to be just stagnant in that area. I'd sooner Lamar start throwing it end zone from 40 yards. Because, you know, as soon as you start shortening the field, everything just goes to shit.
I just
Go on, Tom.
Sorry, Rich. I mean, I just think with the amount of talent we've got, Zay Flowers, Rashad, I know Bateman wasn't playing yesterday, but, you know, I'll throw him in there because we're ranked 27th of 32 teams in red zone conversions. Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Charlie Kohler, Mitchell, Henry, and others. The amount of talent on that offense, I can't put it down to. I'm not going to put the blame on the players not executing. I think this is a scheme issue, a play call issue. I think, like you said, that like you just trying to like kind of bump it in. To an extent, sometimes it's like the way to compare it for me is sometimes when you're watching the Premier League and you see teams trying to walk the ball into the back of the net, and you're thinking you've had other opportunities there to take a shot on goal, and I just think, why are we constantly trying to walk this ball into the fucking end zone? And it all for me, it all falls on Todd Monken. And
I don't think Lamar's 100% right, though. I think any other year bar this year, he probably have got 5 or 6 touchdowns this season already.
Well, I think that's a really important point to make. Like, one thing missing from our red zone offense this year, it feels like Lamar's ability to use his legs. Now we've seen Lamar make some really good plays this year with his legs, and he made some yesterday, but there isn't that. He's not doing it in the red zone. I feel like he's doing it if he feels he really has to, not out of choice. And that is going to make us slightly more one-dimensional. Dan's like,
even when he's using his legs, Rich, I think he's hesitating. He's going through his possessions and he's hesitating, and then he's rushing at the last possible moment. I think sometimes if it's not there, just take off, and he might rip off for 20. But he seems to be like scrambling for 7 or 8 when he's decided he's gone through everything. I think sometimes, especially yesterday when we were getting absolutely dominated from, took that ball and just get tip chains. But he seemed to go through everything twice, look for a stupid check down, and then clatter.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point, isn't it? Really fair.
I don't think he's 100% though, so I think he's nursing his hamstring.
Yeah, Lamar rushed 4 times for 10 yards yesterday, which somehow included a long of 13. So someone would run that maths. The other 3 must have been an absolute nightmare of a scenario for him. I think the other issue I think we've currently got is Todd Monken's got so little faith in his offensive line that all the tight ends are currently also
Blocking.
just blocking for their lives, and we're not getting them. And in that red zone, you've got Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kolar, 3 giant blokes. You could just start playing jump ball with if you really fancied it, but they're just using them in the blocking game, not letting them kind of run the routes they want to run. And then it's relying on like trying to get the ball out then to, Zay or Hopkins, and it's just kind of not working out. And as you said, it's just ending up in checkdowns or 2-yard runs up the middle, or Todd Monken just looking at Keaton Mitchell just going, "Nah, I don't fancy you today, mate." Because just try something out, try something different.
I thought after the first drive yesterday, when Keaton Mitchell got going a little bit, I thought we were going to have a proper thunder and lightning game. And then
that happened against the Vikings as well. They used him early on and then kind of forgot he was there again.
Exactly. It's like, well, we've got the absolute perfect combination of running backs here, and it seems to be working. And then we're just, too easy.
It all comes back to, doesn't it? I don't know what the analytics would say, but the eye test, we're not succeeding in the trenches. We're certainly not succeeding when we try and run Henry or indeed anybody else up the middle. Feels like we're getting absolutely no push at all. We have our best runs when they're kind of that outside zone type of style, and maybe someone like Charlie Kolar can spring a block on the outside of the line, and all of a sudden Henry finds himself in acres of space. But up the middle is absolutely no hope at the moment.
No. There's not,
and you're not going
a
to fix
chance
that in the
our
short
front
term.
getting to the second level.
So yeah, it means he's got to be more creative, because that's not a short-term fix. That line is just done. So he's got to work out ways of moving the ball around a bit quicker, getting it to the outside, and just seeing what we can do there. Because running it up the middle, I don't know, definition of madness, isn't it? Trying the same thing over and over again. So
15 hurricane plays.
15 hurricane
You've heard
just
it.
changing the direction each time.
We'll even go run it wrong way.
Nathan, just picking up on what you said there about getting creative, because that line is done. Going back to what I said earlier about that line and EDC in the front office resting on the laurels with this O-line, have they unintentionally potentially thrown Todd Monken under the bus then this season?
I mean, possibly, but then Todd Monken's got to get himself back and out of the way of that bus very quickly.
Yeah, he's got to keep his job, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it a few weeks ago with the idea of like it could potentially be John Harbaugh's last go in it next year, and if he's not, happy with what Todd Monken's doing, then this is at the moment the perfect way to get rid and try something new next season. But Todd Monken, you think if he knows this could be like his last ride here and he wants to look a bit better next season, he's got to be trying something a bit different. I mean, don't just lie down and take the battering that your front office has given you by giving you this full line. He's been doing this for long enough now. He must have some try a flea flicker. I don't think I've seen Ravens do a flea flicker all year. Bad offenses resort to trick plays all the time. That's all I'm saying. Why don't we just incorporate a little bit?
I don't necessarily want to see a flea flicker while we remain unable to execute a simple screen pass to a running back. Like flea flickers might be a bit too ambitious, because we're still working at grade 1 level here.
What about playing Lamar at running back and getting Andrews to flick it? We've done that.
I mean, if you want to see him go back on IR, then yeah, let's try that. I mean, if we just want to really pack the season in.
It's whichever's coming first. Miles Garrett.
Yeah. Danzy, are you drinking fucking Coke Zero there?
Christmas edition.
Oh, nice.
And I've gone for Diet Coke instead.
Oh, I'm a zero guy.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell.
Save that for the Coke podcast. That's a very different thing.
It's
He is picked up there.
I didn't want this. I didn't want this to be fucking. To be. It was never intentional for it to be kind of this negative. But I was saying that I don't think it's been negative. We just spoke facts. One of the probably the worst performances by a sector of the team of the season this year. It was special teams, and it's disappointing because earlier on in the week, special teams coordinator Chris Horton talked about the importance of good decision making on returns. LeJohntay Wester didn't have his best night. Poor decisions on both returns. It seemed to me that LeJohntay Wester was over eager to make a big play, and that is just one part of special teams that kind of could have caused bigger issues than it actually did. You look at
Jake Hummel, that penalty was absolutely
Jake Hummel,
criminal.
Jumping offside on a 4th and 4th is like that should be a cuttable offence.
4th and 5 obviously showed the penalty. The penalty was gave the Browns a first down, which extended their drive, and they ended up kicking a field goal to make it 16-10. We said when we had Kevin Ostertag on the show, I can't remember who we played that weekend before Kevin came on, and we were talking about how much of a complete team performance it was and how special teams were
We'd
showing
just
out.
beaten the Bears. It was after the Bears game.
I've been pulling my hair out with these special teams for a couple of years now.
Yeah, because and this is what I was going to say, if you go back to last season, we cycled through punt returners, Steven Sims, Desmond King, EDC and John Harbaugh, but they expressed a desire to upgrade that portion of the team. Wester was drafted with that in mind, and we all remember his 87-yard touchdown punt return in the preseason over it. However, it's just a reminder from yesterday's game that his decision making, needs drastic work on. As I say, it wasn't just him on special teams. I thought the whole special teams was awful. That could have cost us. In fact, very nearly did cost us the game. Yesterday, how big a concern is that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Wester is a rookie. I think you hit the nail on the head. He seemed very keen to make a big play, and I think that's understandable because if that's your job, that's why you're on the 53. That's what's getting you active on game week. Wester isn't going to contribute on offense. He may never contribute on offense, and so his path to an NFL roster in any given game week or season is so narrow that, he probably is feeling the pressure at the moment. If he is an NFL average returner, he's going to be out of the NFL because he doesn't contribute in other facets of the game. So, I wonder if that's part of it. I wonder if there's like rookie excitement going on. Obviously, sometimes you have to learn lessons the hard way. There'll be nobody that's feeling worse about the state of the special teams return than Wester today. So sometimes you have to learn harsh lessons. We hope that he'll grow from that experience.
I think Jake Hummel will be saying
we'll see. We'll see, won't we?
Yeah, I think Jake Hummel will be saying about, can you imagine getting a stop defense, then you give the penalty off, and he said, come on, lads. Back out we go.
I mean, the only, I guess, good thing is if you're going to make those mistakes, do it against the Browns, and you can still come out unscathed. I know it's been a little bit.
Not 0-6 at red zone Browns, so we're a game to fuck up in.
Yeah. It's been a little bit gloomy, and I think we said a few weeks ago when we kind of were looking at this stretch on the schedule, and I think someone asked me, what can we learn about this Ravens team? And if we'd put 30-40 up against the Browns, we'd be feeling a little bit of a short-term high, but it's not really going to change how you think about what the team's prospects are going forwards. So I'd rather take the fact that we're winning scrappy. We have to beat the Jets next week because at the moment, I'm not feeling too happy about the prospect of Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Pats and Packers.
It could quite possibly be the kick up the arse we need because, like you said, we've got another trap game next week against Jets. Last thing we need is complacency sleeping in, and we've got the same performance next week. So strap up,
Yeah.
get it out of the way, and let's go again.
I think.
Yeah. Go on, Richard. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say, just thinking about moving the pod on. One thing we haven't discussed, big news in the AFC North. Obviously, we feel we're in a race with the Steelers for the title. And
You've
Aaron
just
Rodgers
stolen
banged
my
up.
thunder.
I love stealing your thunder.
Oh,
Kinky.
Go on, Rich.
Yeah, so, Aaron Rodgers is down, broken wrist. We don't necessarily know how much time that could cost him.
It's his non-throwing arm, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a non-throwing
I'm
hand.
sure it's his
So-
non-throwing arm, so they said it might only be a couple of weeks.
I mean, that could be the break we need. I mean, Mason Rudolph is not the worst backup quarterback in the league, but could we see the Steelers, dropping some games in Rodgers' absence?
I mean, when you look at the AFC North, it's a 2-horse race. But I've lost me thing. So we obviously the Jets on Sunday at the Bank, and then you look at the 2 games after that. You've got Cincinnati, who are obviously 3-7, and on Thanksgiving, and then Pittsburgh, who are currently 6-4 on the December the 7th game. So you look at obviously the Steelers put away the Bengals this week, which that is all but buried any hopes for the Bengals, regardless of Joe Burrow's return, which I think looks likely to be
Thursday night.
It'll be the Thanksgiving game, I think,
Yeah, I think he was being overly optimistic when he said he would be back for the first one. I don't think we're going to see him until that one. But the funny thing about the Steelers' schedule is they've got the Bears and Bills next. They could easily be 6-6 going into our first go with them. So I think we just got to keep winning, doing our thing. And if the Steelers do,
the Steelers play the Bears and Bills.
Yeah. If they win those games, then fair play. They probably end up deserving to take it. But I don't see them winning either of them, to be honest. The Bears are continuing to beat up on bad teams and starting to look like they're turning a little bit of a corners. And then obviously the Bills are the Bills, still one of the AFC powerhouses. So.
You were a proper shootout at Bills game yesterday.
Oh, very good.
A great game to watch, to be fair.
Yeah, big fan of Baker Mayfield's Russian touchdown. However, if I was a Buccaneers fan there, I'd be thinking, Baker, we don't need you to be landing in the end zone like that, mate.
Scorpion.
If I pulled a play like that, mate, I'd be resembling Christopher Reeve.
What in Crotch? WM Smith.
Yeah, 5-5 now after 10 games. Obviously, it doesn't matter now how the Ravens have got there. The most important thing is that they're relevant now in the AFC North. And it is a 2-horse race. It's going to come down to the first Steelers game, and then obviously we play the Steelers, don't we, week 18.
We're also putting pressure on them by us catching up. Every game that they play now, they know they've got to win.
Yeah, and as I say, they have the Bears and the Bills, and I can see, as Nathan said, that are the Bears now starting to turn a corner. I can see the Bears and Bills beating them, but then again, you look at the Bills. That was a shootout the other day. But anyone going to mention Josh Allen's arm punt?
Yeah, shite. Shite. But he'll end up winning MVP off back of that. Even arm punted a couple of INTs yesterday.
All I'm going to say is don't be surprised if he gets a Bourbon come Thursday's episode.
Yeah, I think he dropped 40, didn't he? 44 something. I got him in one league.
If you're in 6-point passing leagues, he actually rocked up 50 points.
I must not be there.
Yeah, no, Josh Allen's not getting mentioned on this pod unless it's slander.
All right.
He did
I'll load off then.
Didn't he do a flick pass in his own end zone to get intercepted yesterday? I'm sure I saw that on Red Zone. It's like, at what point do you start frisbeeing a pass in your own end zone? Well, it's probably highlight reel.
We're gonna have to start thinking about wrapping up because Richard, for undisclosed reasons, has got to shoot off at 7:15. Nobody knows why. I'll leave that up to the listeners' imagination. We genuinely don't know why.
Only
He's
for a poll in
abandoned.
comments.
I'll tell you,
Drop a
but I'd have to
comment.
kill you.
What's Richard up to on a Monday night?
Are you going to win this
Yeah,
phones, Rich?
I wish.
Curry night in Witherspoons. Yeah, look. So yeah, Ravens are 5-5. Roll on. Jets on Sunday.
Need to win.
I'd say things.
Just keep winning.
Yeah, it's just got to keep winning. It's been playoff football, hasn't it, since October, and that's just the mentality they've got to stick with. Gents, anything from you before we finish?
No.
Go Ravens.
Yeah, we were a bit downbeat, but it's only because we bloody love you. Todd Monken, I know you're listening. Flea flicker. I want to see it against the Jets.
The good job DT's not here.
Please.
He loves Monken slander.
Yeah. So we will be back towards the end of the week, obviously, previewing the Jets game. Fantasy fuck up will be back.
What? Don't mention that I'm going to beat you this week.
Oh yeah, you are. But I'm 2-1 I'm 2-1 in the Traitors Dynasty League, so I'll take that. Oh shit! I just gave the league away. It is what it is.
That's quite traitorous behaviour, actually, from you, Thomas. I think I might be voting you at the round table.
Benito Mussolini will have me up against the wall.
So you, sir.
Right. So yeah, it's been another enjoyable one. Danzy, how were the nerves before you did your first pod? Because I'll say it, and I think we'll all agree, you contributed well, and you've been a great
addition,
great step in for either the Teletubby or David Brent.
I've enjoyed it, lads. Meant if ever you need a standing replacement with a better looking person than DT and Ollie, I'm your man.
Love that.
We'll get you on again.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
After a better performance.
You've been listening to me, Thomas. Those have been Nathan, Richard, and Danzai. We've been Ravens Across the Pond. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace out.
See you later,
Enjoy.
gents.